I know you missed us. We're back. Oh, Lord. Look at that. That is something. Hmm. All right, there's that. Mm. All right, I'm all shared everywhere I need to be shared.
Yeah. Well, except with me.
Except look at my page. Look at it. Mm. They postponed the Cleveland Indians and Chicago White Sox game. I wonder if it's snowing in Cleveland.
It's pretty intense up there. Yeah.
No, just 37 and windy. I don't know why they want to play baseball in these conditions.
Well, see, that's why football's number one.
Because we don't care. We'll play anywhere, anytime.
That's right.
Oh, I have to get the story ready.
Okay, I'm getting close. Okay, all right, all set. Hey,
Okay.
howdy. All right, that's my hair.
Non-existent.
It is the Brad and Britt cast, our first one for this week. Britt was on assignment, and I forgot to wipe my face. Hold on.
Wipe your face. For
Right.
God's sake, have some pride.
Uh,
You okay?
yeah. Shut up. Just shut up.
I saw the story, and now I can't find the story because you've been following this for a number of years. You probably saw it already. The latest development on this Foxconn thing that you've been following for a while, that Donald Trump trumpeted as the greatest thing of all time. Did you see the latest on this?
I did see the update. The update was that I think it's less than 1/10 of the amount is going to be spent. You know, it was going to be $9 billion. They're only going to spend like 600 million. So, hey, you ready? We caught Trump in a lie. This is new. It's a great place to start because that's what everybody's talking about today. Britt.
That's a little appetizer. Oh, there it is. There's right. I'll show the screenshot in just a second. Foxconn, once touted by Trump as a 13,000 job juggernaut, will now create just 1,500 jobs. I believe the original number on this that they had as an investment from the Taiwan-based employer was like $10 billion. And now their investment is going to be under, it's like 637 million or something of that nature.
Right. So therefore, we've caught Donald Trump in an exaggeration and a lie. Now let's move on.
To the most important story.
I have, and this has resulted in a couple of my favorite people ganging up on me.
Okay. All right.
And I'll tell you why they've ganged up on me in just a moment. Because yesterday after the verdict, I stayed with it. Okay. I know that 99% of white people tuned away. They didn't want to listen to Reverend Al Sharpton and the prosecutors and Keith Ellison, the attorney general, on and on and on and on. I mean, I understand that. I get it. Okay. And we'll deal with the isn't that enough already factor in just a moment.
Okay.
But Keith Ellison, who is the attorney general of Minnesota and put all this together, prosecuted the case. He didn't actually go into court, but he was the coach. Okay. He spoke for 18 minutes and at 6 minutes and 50 seconds in, as he was turning around and thanking the lead prosecutor and the county prosecutor, this is what he said.
And we did it together. The Attorney General's office together with the Hennepin County Attorney's office. Thank you, sir. And we did it together. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who worked on the case. Most of these folks will tell you it's a bad idea to put together a team of all Michael Jordans. Nobody would want to pass the ball. This team, that was their true strength.
All right. So we have an attack on Michael Jordan in the middle of thanking all of the prosecutors. All right. Now, first of all, objectively, I guess from afar, looking back on his career, you could say that Michael Jordan's number one attribute to a team was not how often he passed the ball or assisted other players, although obviously he must have been helpful to other players because even Michael Jordan couldn't win championships all by himself. I would argue that Kobe Bryant was a much bigger ball hog than Michael Jordan ever was.
Yes, 100%. There's not even a question. Yes.
And now Kobe Bryant gets a pass, and that's never mentioned at all because he's dead.
He's no longer with
us. Michael Jordan is still alive. So I mentioned that clip, and I put up the famous crying meme of Michael Jordan. Okay.
Who's attacking you on this?
Right. Well, okay. So my brother Mark, who moved to California a couple years ago and lost his mind, said, "What is this? This is nothing. Why are you doing this?" All right, wait. And then our good friend Andrew Broad joined in with my older brother and said, "Oh, this is nothing." No, it is something. It is something. You know why? Because I found the one moment of levity of what I think was inadvertent comedy in one of the most serious days in American history. Inarguably, it was funny, and I just thought it was worth noting. But I got piled on. I got
What you-
piled on by two of my favorite people.
You can't just have a team of John Stocktons either, because they'll never shoot. All they'll do is pass the ball. So you have to have, it takes the Michael Jordans and the John Stocktons together.
Well, what do you want to have a whole team of Dennis Rodmans?
You can't have a whole team of all they do is rebound. That's all they can do is rebound. They can't hit anything.
right.
They can't hit free throws. They just rebound all the time. So yeah,
That's right.
It takes a village.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so that's all I wanted to contribute on that end of it. Although I was anticipating, and I've turned out to only be about 1/10 right. It's about 10 times worse than I ever thought it would be. That while we all quietly assumed that there was going to be some conviction, we didn't know whether it would be on all the counts.
Three
right?
for
We didn't
three.
know.
That was unbelievable. Yeah.
That whatever kind of white lash, the white man can't get a break.
White lash.
The system is actually fair. That's proof that it is. So quit whining.
Yeah.
When are you people going to give it up? When is enough enough? Why were you rioting last summer? That whole right wing thing is in full gear right now. It is in full gear, working overtime. Shouldn't you just all be satisfied? You finally got yourself a cop to hang on your belt. Isn't that enough? Isn't that proof that everything's okay?
And they took votes over on, I mean, and this is not the story. We'll actually get to the story, but this is the trappings around it. They took votes on Fox as to who would be the biggest, who would decide to be the asshole. And then Greg Gutfeld immediately volunteered, and Tucker Carlson said, "I'll come in right after you, pal.
Yeah,
I got no problem with it whatsoever."
But Britt, it's whoever spoke last is always the lead dog, right? It's like the last person in the room is always going to be the biggest jerk there.
Did you take the hit for it? Did you take the hit for us and watch Fox, or are you just getting the clips like I am?
I watched a little bit of it. I mean, I watched the opening of the Tuckster last night, and a couple minutes, and and that was that.
Yeah, stop me if you've heard this, but he's lost his fucking mind. I mean, if there's there's an interview he has with a guy who is a former cop who says it's excessive force, and then Tucker maniacally starts laughing and cuts the interview off. I mean, that clip is everywhere. He's lost his ass. I mean, there's nothing there.
But you have to combine that with the fact that Joe Biden and Maxine Waters' comments before the verdict was read, that's more important than the verdict itself.
Correct.
That's more important than anything that's ever happened. And I will absolutely grant you that it was not a good idea for either of them to speak as they did. But you know what? It didn't matter. No. It ultimately didn't matter. And that's the bottom line. And if you're on the side of saying that the real problem over the last year has been Maxine Waters flying to Minneapolis over the weekend and saying things are going to get pretty hot and heavy if the decision is to acquit, which is in effect what she said. If you think that is the big problem, and you are pretending that what happened on January 6th was nothing, that was a garden party, that was just a wedding reception gone wrong, you're full of shit and you suck and you're lying and you're covering and you're playing whataboutism to the nth degree. I mean, they're actually using this to help with their cover up of January 6th because at any given time now, if you turn on Fox, the video is rolling of windows being broken, people jumping on cars, doing all the things from the last year, the isolated circumstances, which when you look at them, they are very scary. They're not very attractive. Nobody's arguing that that's a good idea, but that's the takeaway. So, and again, I think we should all be thankful that not only is Trump not the president, but that he doesn't have Twitter. Can you imagine the running commentary that would have gone on during the trial and then on Tuesday?
The show, I mean, he would have already been trying to pardon Derek Chauvin, and somebody would have to explain to him, you can't pardon somebody on state charges, sir. I'm sorry, you're not able to do that. Yeah, no, you're 100% right about it. They're trying, but you know what I've seen in the past 24 hours, the Democrats have actually gotten some balls. Like Hakeem Jeffries was up there. You guys shut up about Maxine Waters until you do something about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert. You guys shut the fuck up until you clean up your own mess. And I've been like, holy shit. Usually, and they had the vote to censure her, and it went right along party lines, and all the Democrats lined up behind him and said, nah, this isn't going to happen. This isn't coming out of committee. We're not going to censure her for this. And I was like, finally, they're not going to capitulate. They're not going to wring their hands about the whole thing. And they're going to go, okay, as you said, Brad, perhaps she shouldn't have said it, but she was not inciting violence. She was stating a fact is what she was stating. It wasn't the smartest thing I've heard someone say, well, but it's also not, she wasn't trying to incite any kind of riot. Meanwhile, people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene do try to incite a riot, do pour gasoline on the fire time and time and time again. And it's demonstrable. So I'm glad the Democrats are standing up and saying, shut the fuck up about this whole thing. I'm happy about that.
And plus, by the way, you always have to step back and go, all right, who is Maxine Waters? She's a 18-term congressperson from Southern California,
right?
And in terms of her national profile, she holds little, if no sway. Right. In other words, there are not thousands of people scattered all across the country, tens of thousands of them. All the Black Lives Matter folks, all the Antifa folks, and they were just waiting for their marching orders from Maxine Waters.
That's right.
Just in case there was either the lowest level of conviction or an outright acquittal. They were waiting for their marching orders from her. And if that's too over the top, then she was just helping to create the terrible atmosphere in this country. She did it herself. That being said, she ought to shut the fuck up. Okay. And again, and I hate to play ageism here, but she's too goddamn old to still be out there yakking away. She's not running on all cylinders either. She's not. Yeah. But okay, fine. They keep reelecting
to make her the problem.
But she's not the problem.
Exactly.
She's not the problem.
It's preposterous. But it was as you said, it was a historic day. I think it gives. I mean it for a lot of folks, it gives the hope that at least there is the potential for justice. There is the potential. The system can work. And it wasn't all of this nonsense about the drugs in his system and his enlarged heart and the carbon monoxide and all this other horse shit that we heard. And finally, the jury, is it possible that the jury just looked at the evidence and went, he murdered the guy. Yeah, for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, he put his knee on the guy's neck and he murdered the guy. I think that's what they looked at and there was no reasonable doubt that they could be put in their minds.
Right. Well, you had 12 people. You had 4 white men. You had 4 white women, 2 white men, 3 black men, 1 black woman, and 2 mixed race. Okay. So the argument that this jury was racially biased or, that's just not true. I mean, This was about as well balanced a jury in that manner as you could ever have. And the fact that they very, very quickly went into a room, must have looked at each other and said, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Because they never asked the judge a question. It was as easy as we thought it should have been.
Right.
And then when the defense was throwing up all this bullshit, the only question was, were they going to be able to find one of these 12 to cross their arms and say, I have a reasonable doubt, which would have been an unreasonable doubt, but the language says beyond a reasonable doubt. And there wasn't, not among one of them. And I was over on one of the machines at the gym on Tuesday afternoon, and there came the notification that an hour from now they're going to announce it. And boy, at that moment, then just about everyone, well, shit, if they came back this quickly, this has to be a conviction. There's no way that those 12 people agreed together. Right. Well, we didn't hear anything. didn't see a thing. That video, I'm not going to be convinced by a video. That was fake video. That was deep fake. that wasn't okay. We knew that, so it was great. I think that they came back so quickly. That really helped. That was a wonderful thing. That being said, let me argue from the other direction here in terms of what does this mean in terms of, oh, well, finally some justice. Finally, a police officer was convicted for killing someone, and they're going to be held to account for it. And that hardly ever happens. I think there are less than 10 police officers that have ever been convicted in the history of the country for something similar to this. It just never happens. They always get away with it. Look what had to be put out on the table to prove it and get the conviction. This is the prosecutorial equivalent of, in a presidential election, Democrats have to run the table all over the place. They have to get much bigger margins everywhere to win because of gerrymandering and all of the systematic things that are stacked against him. In other words, look at this. Joe Biden won the presidential election by 7 million popular votes?
Mm-hmm.
But he really only won the election by we calculate that? It was less than 100,000 votes spread out. I think
it was like 77,000 or something
That's
like
right.
that.
So if you start to get your abacus out or your slide rule and work backwards from the 7 million, if you drop that down to 4 or 5 million and you proportion that out to all the states, Donald Trump might have won.
Yeah,
he actually might have won.
Sure, he might
so
have.
The Democrats, they have to win and in a case like this, to get a conviction of a cop, you have to have solid state, sterling, Technicolor video from 57 different angles, including the police video, including the fixed camera that was across the street because it's a known crime area, including the fortunate circumstance of having a 17-year-old girl with whatever intestinal fortitude she had to hold her phone for 10 straight minutes. And get the video. That's what it took. Anything less than that, you would have been back into the same kind of situation that always results in an acquittal or a hung jury with a police officer, which is he said, she said. And as we started to talk on this day, which is Wednesday, we're just a couple of hours past the Attorney General announcing that they're going to keep on investigating what goes on in the Minneapolis Police Department, and they're going to do one of those big federal investigations. Okay, and I bring that up because I want to reference this here. This is. Have you seen the original depiction of what happened? The original press release that the Minneapolis Police Department put out right after George Floyd died.
I'm getting ready to put it on our screen right now. Is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to pop that up there so that everybody can see this. And
this is why, among other reasons, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, has to have an investigation of the federal government, of the state government and the local police by the federal government.
There it is right there. It's the man dies after medical incident during police interaction, Brad. You probably be able to read some of the details a little bit better because it might be difficult for folks to read, but they can see the headline if they're watching.
Right. Here it is. This is from Minneapolis Police Department on their stationery. It said, man dies after medical incident during police interaction, posted May 26, 2020, which, by the way, if I can translate man dies after medical incident during police interaction, that's person dies after something happened to that person somewhere with a police officer. Right?
Something happened to someone somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
On Monday evening, shortly after 8 o'clock, officers from Minneapolis Police Department responded to the 3700 block of Chicago Avenue South on a report of a forgery in progress. A forgery in progress. Have you ever heard of that phrase?
No.
before.
No.
How do you?
And I have some experience with law enforcement, not a lot, but I've never heard that.
Right. Officers were advised that the suspect was sitting on top of a blue car, appeared to be under the influence. 2 officers arrived, located the suspect, a male believed to be in his 40s, in his car. He was ordered to step from his car after he got out. He physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center by ambulance, where he died a short time after. Now, of course, you'll notice there's no mention of the fact that he was pinned to the ground for, 9 minutes and 36 seconds there?
9 minutes, 29 seconds.
Right. They just said they were able to get him into handcuffs and said he had some medical distress. They called for an ambulance. He comes. At no time were weapons of any type used by anyone involved in this incident. Well, wow.
Because your knee as a on the back of a neck, that would not be a weapon.
Well, we didn't realize that until we saw the video. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension has been called to investigate the incident at the request of the Minneapolis Police Department. No officers were injured in the incident. Body-worn cameras were on and activated during this incident. That's all they said. Now,
right.
Their excuse right now is that this was early. They hadn't seen the police video. Where. But hold the phone here. Wait a minute. Just a second here. That is such an early attempt to spin what you know wasn't the truth. This is not even in the ballpark. This isn't even in the parking lot. This isn't even in the county of truth there. So that explains why Merrick Garland and the feds have to look at the Minneapolis Police Department. Boom. There it is.
The overreaching federal government, you mean?
Yeah.
They're the ones that have to look into this and try to. And by the way, I don't want to get too far past this without mentioning her name. Her name is Darnella Frazier. She is the one who took the video, and that is she's being credited in great part with the reason that Derek Chauvin is going to spend a long time in jail. Now he has the right to appeal, as anybody would, and I hope he exercises all of his rights fully. I don't think he's going to be successful in that appeal, but we shall see. But Darnella Frazier is the young lady who took the video the entire time. And without that video, I don't know if you and I are having this conversation. We might be having a very different conversation, and we might be talking about some medical issues that they imagined there in Minneapolis.
Right. It's possible because since all the police officers were wearing cameras, a lot of their video was part of the case. It wasn't just the longer range shot that the young lady used, but the evidence has to be so overwhelming for a police officer to get shot versus when it's a citizen. Well, okay, they did it, kind of thing. And that appears to be sure. I think you also have to add in the fact that you had so many members of current law enforcement in Minneapolis, including the chief of police, who testified against Chauvin. I mean, that'd be pretty hard to ignore. If you're a juror, that's pretty hard to ignore. And they were emphatic, and they were well reasoned, and I wonder if for 1 second, even a millisecond, Chauvin and his lawyers are saying, well, I guess I should have gotten up there and taken a shot at it. I should have testified. I couldn't do any worse than I did. Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably
I don't know if it would have been much of an outcome or not. They may have deliberated for 3 or 4 hours instead of 10 if he had gone up there and tried to defend himself. I don't know. I mean, I think it was just a really great job by the prosecution. Of course, I was appalled by some of the stuff that the defense was saying, but I understand that everybody is afforded, an aggressive defense, and they had to do the best they could. But for them to reach at even the carbon monoxide theory, which seemed a little crazy to me, that seemed to be a bit of a reach. Well, I could be wrong.
Well, you know why I thought that one was so dumb and so goofy, because if George Floyd would have been killed as the result of carbon monoxide poisoning, why wouldn't the other police officers who were in the same spot that he was, right there, they were within feet, how were they able to sit there for 10 minutes and suck in exhaust fumes, and it apparently didn't bother them?
Well, that's going to be, I think that's the theory on appeal, is that Chauvin, the carbon monoxide screwed with his brain, and that's why he did it. That's why he wasn't acting right and carrying out the policy correctly.
Right. Sure.
I'll just go ahead and write the appeal for Eric Nelson. I don't know if he's going to be in charge of the defense for the next trial or not, but the guy who was the lead attorney for Derek Chauvin's defense, go ahead and you just say the carbon monoxide poisoning, it messed with his judgment. I mean, you might as well just say that, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, just make up something. Just run with it.
That's essentially what happened, but it was
just get us.
And you're so right about it was to have Biden as president instead of Trump, because first of all, he let Kamala Harris speak first, which was incredibly appropriate and something that not everybody would have thought of. And there she is, and she spoke first, and she spoke, as she always does, extremely eloquently and from the heart, and said all kinds of appropriate things, and then he said appropriate things. It's weird to have a guy in there after all this time. It almost brings a tear to your eye that says appropriate shit and then shuts up some of the time. Sometimes, like you said, since there's no Twitter account, you don't even think about it sometimes. He doesn't spout off on every issue. And Donald Trump is too busy anyway trying to boycott Coca-Cola or whatever the fuck he's doing down in Mar-a-Lago. I don't know what he's doing.
God.
So yeah, it was a very emotional day for a lot of folks in America. At least the potential, the possibility of justice exists. And I've never, I've always understood and respected law enforcement, but this thin blue line phrase that gets through there all the time, I've never really cared for that. I've never really cared for that blue line, because there's in sometimes, and in some cases, there's been times when these guys have circled the wagons and protected each other in a very mafia-esque way, right? There's kind of an omerta situation where you don't speak ill of other police officers and stuff. And I don't like that. And to me, in some ways, that's what the blue line means, is that these guys circle the wagons and they protect each other. And in this case, as you said, so many other officers went, no, this is not what we are and what we do.
Well, but you hope what comes out of this at some level is the Pollyanna-ish description of police officers in general, who we all want to believe want to do the best job possible. They want to protect and serve, and they are best served personally and as a group by expunging the worst of their kind. That getting rid of Derek Chauvin, that sending him off to prison, is a good thing for police. It's not a bad thing for police. It makes me realize that my next encounter, supposedly with it's not going to be, at least with Derek Chauvin. If you're in Minneapolis, at least he's not going to show up at the next call. Now, that's kind of overstating, what this does in general. But I do believe that 90 whatever percent of people who are police officers are really, really good people who take the job for the right reasons. But we know now, it's not a question, a lot of people become cops because they are fucked up, because they are on a power trip, because they came home from the military and they wanted to continue having a gun on their side.
All right.
They are into bossing people around, and there is some of that. Now, that's the biggest job in the world, to think that we can reverse engineer every police department in this country to suddenly have fine, upstanding citizens who believe in truth, justice, and the American way only. That's not going to happen. But this trial and this conviction certainly does send out some signal to those people. I would not want to get too cynical and say, yeah, the lesson learned by the cops is, if there are ever people standing around you with phones, grab them and smash them right there so they can't use it against you. Make sure that you're doing this even more undercover.
Right.
And the body camera video makes that much more difficult for them.
Yeah.
Because imagine what would happen if during that incident in Minneapolis a year ago, that one of the officers had walked up to Daniela and said, "Give me your phone." Well,
Yeah.
there would be video of him doing that.
Right.
Unless he turned off his phone. And then if he turned off his phone, you would have all those other witnesses saying, "Here's what happened." So the fact that there were people around, that's what changed everything. And the technology of the camera in everybody's phone changes it even more. It just does.
Do you want to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders?
I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't either. It was one of those where Twitter got mad.
Twitter got mad.
Twitter got mad.
No, Britt, here's what the Fox notification on my phone said. An NFL owner is in deep trouble for something he tweeted about the trial. And the answer is
no, he's not.
My quick answer is, and for folks that haven't been following along here, Mark Davis tweeted, what did he say? "We can all breathe now."
You got a screenshot of it right now. It says, I can breathe. And it says 4/20/21, which I thought my immediate reaction was, that's pretty good. I'm really, I'm very
millions
proud
of people
that.
Were saying that. People in Minneapolis were saying that.
Because many of us, I mean, it's obvious, but many of us were kind of holding our breath and we were very anxious for this decision. And then we exhaled deeply. And I thought that was something, but apparently I'm wrong and it was insensitive and it was a terrible thing to do and he should have pulled it down. But there you go. Don Lemon of CNN, he's defending the controversial tweet. He says he wasn't offended by it. So something's wrong with him too. Apparently he doesn't get it. Apparently he's insensitive and he doesn't understand.
No, Britt. See, he realizes that the Raiders have been guilty of way worse infractions than that. This doesn't even register in the top 100 annoying thing. In fact, this wasn't even really annoying, but we'll pretend for the sake of the argument that it was really out of line. It doesn't register.
But honestly, when you look at the context of that organization, and they've done some dreadful things. I mean, they raped Alameda County out of millions upon millions of tax
here
dollars.
Comes the first team to hire a Hispanic. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes.
The first team, they were the first team to hire a black coach and a Hispanic coach.
Just argue this on its merits. Okay.
It is it fits in perfectly with the context and plus there's only one team that's ever had a female president, and that was the Raiders. So they in terms of their lineage, yes, they've been socially active. They've walked the walk, and others have only talked the talk.
But here's the problem, and again, we're not offended. We don't think that Mark Davis did anything wrong. But here's the problem with making an argument if you did accept that Mark Davis did something wrong by bringing up all of these things that they did in the past. You would be saying, because they did good things in the past, they get a pass on doing something shitty. But they didn't even do something shitty, so you don't have to justify it by bringing up good things that they may have done.
And I don't hold any sort of I mean, as far as Mark Davis goes, I don't worship him or anything of that nature. He happens to be the guy who owns my favorite team, but whatever. I give him credit for standing up and going, look, don't blame this on my social media guys. Don't blame this on the office. This was me. I did this. So I give him full credit for at least stepping out there. If you don't like it, put it right here. Aim at me, not the social media guys and not our front office staff and not the 20-year-old interns. I'm the one who wanted that put up there, and I did it. So I give him full credit for that, even though, as you pointed out, I think it's a nothing, but it was a big – he was ratioed on Twitter. The thing was ratioed big time. It was very polarizing. Some people loved it, and some people decided, you gotta delete this. This is so bad. You shouldn't do that. So it was very interesting. I mean, his reaction was a little bit better than what you saw on Fox. I think they continue just to talk about the lawlessness around America. What is the great take on Fox is this has made life so much more difficult for cops across America, and the rioters won today. Is that going to be it?
Right. It's the old, how are we ever going to get good people to want to become police officers if this can happen? Britt, everything always plays into their
Right.
white grievance.
Right.
I mean, I'm half joking, but I'm
That is
not.
true.
You ready?
No.
The trial yesterday, taken to its extreme in the way Fox frames everything, will filter down to people across the country who could get interviewed in a diner somewhere.
Right.
And if they were asked, can a white person get a fair trial in America? These Fox fans would say, no, a white person can't get a fair trial anymore.
Stop.
They, quote, they get all the breaks. The blacks get all the breaks, right? And that's going to be the underlying theme. That and by the way, people like Ron DeSantis, who is the worst of the worst, he's just the most cynical son of a bitch to come down the line since Trump.
Time.
And he is the worst of the worst, okay? And that law that they just put into place in Florida that says if you see people protesting in the street, you can mow their ass down with your car and you're okay. It's all right. Protesting is basically against the law in Florida if we don't like the way you're doing it. I mean, it's the most anti-First Amendment piece of legislation that's come down the pike in a long time. Now, it's not as bad as, well, we don't want Ann Coulter to speak at our college tonight. So now that's the worst.
The worst.
We know that. That's the worst thing.
This is the headline. I'll put this up in a second. MSNBC contributor Derek Chauvin conviction may cause police to retaliate. This is what they decide to go with on Fox as far as this is their big headline that they want to. They really are all about. I figured this out many, many years ago, and this may have even been during the Obama administration. They had some video of one of Patti LaBelle's bodyguards manhandling somebody who was approaching her in an airport. And I went, geez, anytime that a black guy does anything, they just like blow it up on Fox like it's the worst thing ever, right? Anytime any black guy does they got a black guy tripping somebody on the street, they'll run that video over and over again, talking about how liberals don't want black people to own up to anything and take responsibility for it. They'll just do that shit over and over again. It is so hard to be white these days, Brad. It is so difficult. How tough is it?
It's murderous. And I'll tell you what, waking up today as a multi-billionaire or somebody who earns $3-4 million a year, you want to wake up as one of those people, your marginal income tax rate may go up a couple points. It may go up. You may have to pay more. Why would you even want to be in this country? Why haven't you moved to Costa Rica yet? Why haven't you done that? And
right. It's open season on rich white folks.
Right.
This is the last one we'll go with from Fox. This was their analysis. Derek Chauvin video produced outlandish analysis, cringeworthy tweets, and wildly inappropriate takes. Yeah, on your fucking channel.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony that they would put that story up as something is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That they would somehow say that that's something.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, it was, I thought it was a really, it was a good day for America that somebody was.
By the way, remember, this was the most watched trial really since the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yeah.
And at one level, we've come a long way because there was no showboating. There was no Judge Ito. There was no Kato Kalin, who's going to get a talk show after this.
No.
There, thank God, is no Kardashian family that's going to emerge out of this trial.
So true.
None of that. And maybe that's the difference between Minnesota fake nice and LA fake real. Okay.
Do you want to explore that for just a moment about the fake nice of Minnesota? Because I've seen some articles about this, how it's all mythology and it's just bullshit.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Britt, this is one country. We have regional differences. The way we may speak, the kind of food we may like, the kind of weather that we experience. But, for purposes of where are people nice, where aren't they, it's all the same. We know about the fake Southern gentility, the fake Southern courtesy, the bless your heart, blah, 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 kindness to strangers. We know about the Midwestern openness. It's real America. Blah. We know about the people in New England. These people will take the shirt off their back. They have every fucking myth out there about every part of the country. And and Minnesota nice was, and by the way, Amy Klobuchar used that phrase about 1,000 times while she was running for president. Remember?
I do.
Remember? Because she was trying to contrast herself in between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. They're both mean New Englanders. I'm Minnesota nice. I'm Amy Klobuchar. And she didn't get very far in her presidential campaign because we really want Minnesota bastards. Okay. By the way, is there some karmic influence over the fact that Walter Mondale died the day before the verdict? Walter Mondale, right? By the way, Walter Mondale, who really was Minnesota nice, and he was that way and didn't brag about it. He just was that way. Somebody noted that every picture you ever see of Walter Mondale, former vice president, he's smiling. Now, how is that?
Well, did you ever hear a bad story? Did you ever hear anybody talk shit about Walter Mondale ever?
You didn't. And I'll tell you what I hate the most. I hate the most is that the most shown clip the last few days regarding Walter Mondale is Ronald fucking Reagan ripping off that one-liner about I will not use age to discriminate in the campaign. Everybody laughed and well, that was it. Oh, Reagan won the election with that one. He killed fuck Reagan. Fuck Reagan. God damn it.
Joe Biden said that when Barack Obama wanted him to be vice president, that was the first guy he went to was Mondale. And Mondale typed him up a very nice memo. This is what it's like. This is what the job is. This is what you'll have to do. I would like to give you, and I'm going to show you on the screen right now, the opposite of Minnesota nice. Ready?
Chris Christie. His friends believe he's running in 2024. I have some advice for Chris Christie. You ought to be running right now on a treadmill, okay? You ought to be running on a treadmill.
The opposite of that Minnesota nice thing is the people from New Jersey and New York who feel like since they're from New Jersey, New York, it gives them license to be complete assholes in real life. That's the thing that bothers me. And now this dick thinks that he's going to save the party and save America. You've got to be joking me that this is even any kind of a thing. I can't believe that this is a thing.
You know what? I totally disagree with you. I completely believe that the best thing for Chris Christie's political brand or future is that Donald Trump already fucked everything up, pushed the level of what's acceptable in terms of temperament down, 400 notches to where Chris Christie, hey, he's not so bad.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Because remember, that's going to be the standard whether Trump runs or doesn't run.
Yeah,
they're all going to have to talk about Trump. They absolutely are going to have to talk about Trump. And then when they do, the next person will say, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump. He's the past.
Right.
And then that person will use it against the next person. It will be one after another because he looms so large in the minds of so many of the voters. And Chris Christie, I mean, he's got as much chance as any of them. He doesn't come in as an unknown. He's got governor experience, all that kind of shit. So I wouldn't write him off. I wouldn't. No. Not at all. Not at all. And clearly, no one is going to pay any kind of a price. No one in the Republican Party is going to pay any kind of a price within their party in total for being associated with Trump.
It appears that way.
Not one of them.
And they're all, and like I said, they're not running away from him. They're running toward him as fast as they possibly could.
Right. And even if they don't run towards him, if they ran alongside of him at any time during the last 5 years, no price to be paid whatsoever.
With the exception of Matt Gaetz, who's running toward playgrounds. I mean, that's different.
That is different. That is a different issue. Very good. I like that. Don't you think that Matt Gaetz looks like the child of Max Headroom?
ever since
with a better dresser.
He's ever since he lost the weight, he's got that bobblehead thing going on. It just looks like you just want to get him on the back of his head and just like make his head bobble because it doesn't look right ever since he dropped the poundage.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
I don't know. You know what? I don't even want to think about Republican politics for 2024 right now because we got a lot of business, we got a lot of things to take care of right now, and let me look at the time here. We're kind of up against the clock here. I think on the Thursday Brad and Britt cast, our last one for this week, I think we'll have to go back into coronavirus.
All right.
Talk and vaccine talk, and the fact that apparently there is a solid 20 to 25% of people who say never, no way, Jose, and that's going to result in us having to live with this forever.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting coronavirus shots like flu shots forever.
True.
It's never going to go away. And by the way, it wouldn't automatically go away.
No.
Even if 100% of us got it.
But we would minimize it greatly.
There's no chance it's going to go away if we have people who are running around who are active. And again, I think to end this, and we'll pick up on it tomorrow with the coronavirus prayer, the thoughts and prayers for Ted Nugent.
Oh,
Ted Nugent,
sad, yes.
who was a complete motherfucking cocksucking asshole about this. The coronavirus is fake. It's the government's attempt. You name every stupid thing, every bullshit thing that was ever said. And he was that guy. He was that guy. And of course, now we find out he's had it. He's been
kicked his
sick
ass.
as a dog.
He's 72 years old.
Exactly. And I have zero sympathy for him. Nothing.
Zero.
Just nothing. You know, he's lucky to be alive. And
you might say that COVID has a stranglehold on him.
I get it. See you tomorrow.
Early on, he was misdiagnosed with cat scratch fever. Sorry, I had to let